from what I hear, and I don't know 100%, I believe they piggyback off when. So I think it's part of a piggyback onto the textile law that they passed, where textiles became a waistband item, and everybody was out there picking up all textiles, which are much easier to recycle, much easier to manage, and they're not contaminated, and we're not worried about bed bugs or anything else on them. It's just a much easier material to handle. But I believe that that's how this bill got passed, to become a waistband item, which is a change in law. Doesn't require us to do an addendum to any contract, just requires us to handle the material different. No longer can it be picked up and thrown away in the trash.
All right. Well, thank you very much. I hope we don't end up seeing a lot of mattresses and box springs on the side of the road.
I agree with you. That's a big concern, I think, for every municipality out there right now, is what's going to happen when this comes into effect, and all of a sudden it becomes a burden to get rid of it, and they can't fix that. So it's going to be very hard to see what happens with that as far as that goes. But I agree with you. Hopefully we don't see a lot of them on the side of the road because of this ban.
I see Joyce wants to speak.
Michael, I was just wondering about the textiles too, because people don't really, I don't think, understand that we don't have the pink bags anymore, and the textiles aren't supposed to go into the trash. So am I correct with that?
Yes, you are correct with that. There are a bunch of agencies and different companies. I think the pink bags, I think what changed on the pink bag program is you no longer they're no longer following our truck routes. You now need to call and make an appointment, or you can drop them off at one of their recycling bins that they have located at different places. But I think they found the same thing, that riding around a town trying to figure out how many people were putting out pink bags with the cost of fuel and the cost of labor and getting equipment has just become, they just can't do it anymore. But there are a lot of bins out there where they can leave them at the bins. But yes, they are not supposed to be thrown away in the trash.
Right. Okay. I just want to make sure that everybody else understands that as well.
Yep. I would think that probably Town of Mendon would like to update their website. I'll be sending out a piece, and I'll send it to Jack tomorrow, exactly what the DEP said about the waistband, what the pieces are. There are some other companies out there. There's like 5 companies throughout the state. But when you think about the amount of mattresses that we're going to have to manage, and the amount of handling and the amount of cost to do that, if they can find a different avenue to do that, in most cases, if you buy a mattress, that company will take it back. There is a hidden fee, but they really will take that mattress back. It's clean, it's dry, and it's not an issue compared to leaving it out at the curb. We end up with 3 inches of rain. Now we can't even pick it up off the curb.
That makes sense.
Tom Fickner.
Hey, greetings all. Pardon my tardiness in getting to the meeting. I just wanted to mention, I know Joyce alluded to no more pink bag program, but we will have that affiliation with, I believe it's CMRK, that'll kind of be taking the place of the pink bag program, correct?
Right.
So we will in essence have a replacement to the pink bag program. It's just going to not be called the pink bag program. Right?
Right. That's my understanding.
Yeah. So, and that's still pending, right, Jack?
That is correct.
Yeah. Are we waiting on determining where the bins are going to go, I guess, or something?
Correct. I emailed Taylor this afternoon, and she's been on vacation this week, so I'm hoping to hear back from her on Monday.
Yeah.
Jack, didn't you say the online scheduling was active though?
The online scheduling for CMRK is active. Taylor said yes.
And is it on our website as to how to contact them?
I do not believe so, but I can put that on the website for tomorrow.
Thank you.
I'll wrap it up with what Mike Sespan sends me about the mattresses. Tom Fickner.
Yeah, I just wanted to just also confirm, basically that this new association that we're going to have with CMRK, that'll basically represent pretty much what the Pink Bag program did for us, correct?
Yeah, it's basically the online pickup. So if you got stuff to be donated, you just schedule it online for a pickup date and they come to your house and take it.
Yeah, and the materials were pretty much matched up what the Pink Bag program offered
Yes.
to take, right? Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, and then in addition, of course, the bins will be an added plus for drop-off purposes, right? So,
Correct. Yes.
okay,
But I think that we need to make sure that people in town know that they can no longer put those kinds of materials in the regular trash. You know, I think we need to make sure that everybody in town is aware of that by November 1st. Because if they do, that can contaminate a whole trash.
yeah, so you got a good point. And Mike, so how, I'd imagine that between now and when it starts, probably the word is not going to get around to everybody. It's only a couple weeks away. But so what would happen if you do have people that are continuing to put these things into the waste stream that are being prohibited by this law? How would you guys, like at EL Harvey, be handling that?
If it's a pink bag program, we'd leave the pink bag at the curb. We would not pick that up. We've had a couple of customers call up from Mendon and said we left the trash bag behind, and when we used the camera system, we seen it was a pink bag that was left behind. That's why Phil left it behind. So really, if it's mixed in the trash, if it's thrown in a trash bag and something gets thrown in there, we're not going to identify that at the curb based on how we picked it up. So it would not be a violation to the town of Mendon for illegally dumping, a waistband item because we wouldn't see it. Unlike a mattress, it's pretty hard to hide that in a trash can.
Yeah, no, I was thinking in terms of people putting the textiles in with their regular trash and, it's in bags you guys don't see and then you just take the load. So,
Yep.
there's really I was just curious how, if anything, how it may or not affect you guys at your end, that's all.
For the little bit that will happen with that, I don't think it'll make any difference on the amount of MSW and trash we pick up for the town of Mendon. So I don't see that as being an issue. People that want to do the right thing and want to recycle and do it correctly will go with the new program. I do know Taylor. I've met her at a couple different places, so she runs a good program with that. The addition of the bins, once you put that on the website, and the fact that they can call up and make an appointment, which I knew is the way Pink Bag was going, I think it's just the right way to do it. If you want to recycle, you're going to do it right, and they're going to come pick it up, and we can go from there. But yeah, like I said, the mattresses, you just can't hide those. The clothes, if somebody throws away a bag of clothes, we'd never see it, and it'd never be a violation.
Gotcha, right. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Alan?
Yes, and in addition, Mike, we are working on getting a proposal together for renewing our contract.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are, sir. I'm working on, I'll shoot an email. I'm really looking to see how many residents we currently have signed up in the program. I'll add that into the email when I send it to Jack tomorrow. Once I get that number, I can pretty much complete what I've got, and then we will make a proposal to you guys to go fully automated for the town.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Before we go to Tom Fickner, is there anybody else on the call that would like to chime in about the current topic? Please raise your hand. All right, Tom, I'm doing Jack's job.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Jackie
Well, after you
slacker.
called me Andy.
I was just curious, timeline. I know it sounds like, Mike, you're gonna need to get something back from Jack, but Jack and his his stupendous efficiency record. He'll probably have that to you 2 minutes after you ask the question. So
Absolutely.
I was just curious. Roughly from your end, where do you figure there'd be an E.L. Harvey proposed contract in front of the board to start to evaluate roughly?
I think right now we're just, with all the crazy things going on right now, we're just, I'm probably talking, probably by the end of November, I'll have something real hot. I'm hoping to do it before that. But with running around and doing all the different things I need to do and making sure that, I've got the right house count, develop the program correctly for Mendon, which, is a little different because they can opt in and opt out, where I'm not looking at a solid number and come up with a number that I can work on and make it very beneficial to the town, that we'll be in good shape there going forward.
Cool. Okay. Thank you.
Alan?
If no one else has any comment on this particular topic, Jack, we can move on.
Okay.
Thank you, Mike.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you for having me on the call. I appreciate it.
All righty.
Thanks,
Thank you for
Mike.
being here.
All right. Have a great night.
You too.
All right, the next topic on the agenda is 52 Millville Road. I am showing a Mr. Tom Maroli, a Mr. Mike Maroli, and I believe Kristen O'Clair is also on the call this evening.
Correct.
All right, Mr. Chairman,
right.
would you like to start off?
I can kind of rehash when I received the phone call from you a few weeks ago. You called me in the afternoon. I responded probably within 15 minutes. I met the property owner and the general contractor on the job. They had already been working on it for a while. A dumpster was being dropped off at that time, and it appeared that everything was in hand as far as being a board member. So I reported that evening to my fellow board members as to what had transpired when I responded to the call, and it looked as though everything was moving forward. I realized that the tenant had reached out to the DEP. The DEP had reached out to the homeowner. The homeowner reached back to the DEP. And the work was being acted on, it seemed very quickly. Not aware of how long they had been working on this, just when we got the complaint and when we responded to the complaint. And as a follow-up to that, the health inspector representative, Danielle Edmonds for the Board of Health Town of Mendon, did an inspection, made some corrections that she wanted to see to the property. The property was tested for asbestos. As I read through all the paperwork, came back clean. It was tested for mold, came back clean. And I see pictures of finished work. So I really thought that the matter was handled. But now I understand that maybe further work needs to be done. So I look forward to hearing from the tenant.
Hi, thank you, Mr. Chair, through you. No, none of the mold was taken out. None of the mold was taken out. All of the demolition and everything that was done 4 feet away from my bed with no covering on my bed. Things were stacked up in my kitchen and living room with no, it cost 99 cents to put a tarp over something. It was, as soon as we came back to this place, I immediately started feeling even sicker than I was before. the first night back here at like 1:30 in the morning, I woke up coughing and couldn't breathe. I've gone to a doctor and I'm allergic to the types of mold that are here. And, this has been really awful and a really horrible experience with everything that's gone on. It took multiple phone calls for even to get somebody in here to look at the place. You know what I'm saying? Like this was really bad, and I'm still like living here and feeling awful all the time, and I don't know what to do.
And how long have you lived there, ma'am?
4 years.
4 years. And how long has this been going on?
It got really bad like in July. It was bad before, when like back in 2019 when this first happened. It's too much, and it's just awful.
And when you made your first complaint in 2019, were you and the property owner able to work this out and get what you needed corrected?
I thought so. But apparently not. The walls all warped from, what we've now found out is all of this water damage that was back there. And the fix was putting, caulking over it, on a warped wall, like there wasn't ever going to hold. It was never ever, I don't think it was even holding before he walked out the door. This was preventable, and this was awful. And, all I'm asking for is to not be sick in a place that I live. Like I'm looking for other places, but it's not very easy to find someplace right now.
Okay. I believe, as I was reading through the paperwork, that you, and please correct me, were you present when the representative from the Mendon Board of Health did the inspection?
Yes.
And were you satisfied with her inspection?
I thought that I still don't understand why the moldy insulation wasn't taken out. I don't understand why, moldy, rotting wood, and like I don't understand how that's acceptable, and I don't understand how that's done in a workmanlike fashion, and I don't understand how somebody can say, "Hello, this mold is making me sick," that there's no action on it. Everything else, she was very awesome. She was great. She was very thorough. But I still have, I don't understand, and maybe somebody can explain it to me, why that was allowed to just happen.
Okay. Did you read the report from the company that did the testing for the mold?
I certainly did.
And do you feel it's correct or incorrect?
One moment. On the report, it says a mold report is only one aspect of an indoor air quality investigation. The most important aspect of mold growth in a living space is the availability of water. Without a source of water, mold generally will not become a problem in buildings. These determinations are in no way meant to imply any health outcomes or financial decisions based solely on this report. For questions related to medical conditions, you should consult an occupational or environmental health physician or professional.
Okay. So I take it that you don't have a lot of confidence in that report?
I think that the report itself states that it's not a comprehensive picture of what's going on. Massachusetts doesn't even have mold standards. I keep getting told that, but for some reason, it seems like everybody here thinks that that report was, okay or acceptable.
Okay. Did you,
I went to a doctor,
mm-hmm.
and the doctor, and I provided that letter to the health agent, said that the only way to alleviate symptoms is to get rid of the mold in the house. And at this point, you know, is it still the mold in the walls? I don't know. Is it the, you know, some sort of, you know, is it all inside of my bedding in my bed? Is it all in my couch? You know, is it just on every single surface and it'll just always like, I don't know the answers to that. You know, if this was done correctly, like I probably wouldn't feel this horrible. You know what I'm saying? Like this is all I'm asking for. And I, you know, it seems like I don't know. I don't understand it.
All right, I'm going to ask my fellow board members to chime in. They have experiences that I don't have. Would one of my fellow board members like to comment on this or make some suggestions, please?
Tom Fickner? You're on mute, Tom.
Thank you, Jack. I'm
All right.
technically challenged. Ms. Leclerc, is that who we're speaking with?
Yes, thank you.
Hi. Well, I did have the opportunity to speak to a gentleman from, hang on a second here, the company Green Solutions, I guess, who was brought in to do the assessment. And I guess they, in turn, they work with this lab, ProLab, which is based out of Florida. They actually did the analysis, and I guess this gentleman, Stephen Dubois, he kind of gave me a little insight on the sampling. Unfortunately, I, like Alan, I do not have personally any experience in mold or mold remediation, so it's not my area of expertise. But I did want to get a little insight into the testing analysis that was done. And what he had mentioned to me was that generally where the concern lies with regard to mold from a health perspective lies within the air that the individuals would breathe, as opposed to a surface that actually might have mold on it. From what he was telling me, essentially mold is considered inert unless it's actually activated somehow, which typically would be by moisture. Because one of the things that caught my eye in the analysis was the in the locations that were mentioned, it talked about the bedroom and something that was defined as outside control, which actually turned out to be the air outside in the front yard. Because I wondered myself, why wasn't the bathroom itself listed as a location? But I guess due to proximity, from what I understand with the layout of the apartment, that the bathroom is pretty close, and the thought that Steve provided was that someone is going to spend more time in their bedroom than they might in their bathroom. So he felt the better location to be taking an air sample from was the bedroom area. And I also asked about physical testing, like, for example, swabs. And although this report it's not based on swab tests, it's based on testing with a particular device, the air quality and the representation of mold spores in the air. He said that pretty much, you know, in the natural scheme of things, mold is everywhere. And pretty much from a health perspective, it's based on whether somebody is affected or not affected. It's going to be through the breathing element of the mold, not so much the fact that it exists on a surface, but the existence of it in the air. So that's why the tests were done in that method, why that methodology was utilized. He basically, in describing mold and its existence and how it relates to how it can affect people, the fact that you could have mold on a surface, like, and based on the pictures that I was looking at, and you kind of referred to it a little bit. The structure of the bathroom on the wood and whatnot, you can clearly see the mold. But that in and of itself, the fact that mold exists on those surfaces would not necessarily create a health risk or a health factor, just so long as that mold was no longer exposed to moisture where it could grow and become an issue. So I think ultimately that's why in the report, ultimately it was determined that there was no mold remediation that was being recommended for the location. The samples that were detected in the air were well within a range of what would be quote unquote a reasonably accepted level of mold spore. Although he did point out that one particular one that's on the analysis, the Penicillium aspergillus, that one was a little bit higher than the others, but still at a level that would not warrant, in his view anyway, the need to make a recommendation for any kind of further remediation or treatment. So that's kind of a little bit of the background that I got on how the testing was done and why the results were presented and why the determination, was made. Now, everyone's different, right? And people have sensitivities and that are not always consistent. So that's not to say that what might possibly still exist there may still be giving you a problem. And I just kind of wonder at this point, there was a reference made to a particular type of individual possibly being called into play here, which is, I think he used the term a type of individual, a work environment specialist. I forget the term that you actually had used. Do you recall that, Ms. Leclerc?
I don't know what you're referring to.
I think it was in relation to your conversation you had with your doctor, and the doctor had recommended the involvement of a particular type of individual that would specialize in this type of.
I don't believe that was in that letter.
Yeah.
I think, are you thinking of the disclaimer on the bottom of the test with the company that you're talking about right now that says to consult specific people? Is that the one?
At the bottom of the analysis page, is that the one you're referring to? I think it was like an occupational.
My doctor's note doesn't say anything like that. What you're saying sounds similar to what the disclaimer says on the bottom of that test.
I'm trying to read that here. That's what I'm wondering is if, these determinations were in no way meant to imply any health outcomes or financial decisions based solely on the report. For the questions relating to medical conditions, without occupational and environmental health physician or professional. So I wonder if that is an avenue that may need to be followed if you feel that the results that are coming from this particular report are really not addressing the health concerns that you feel you're experiencing. That
right, but I did, and that letter's in there too.
There's from an occupational.
He's an allergist. That's what it's. He's a specialist in allergies and allergens.
Well, is this individual an actual occupational environmental health physician?
Yes, he's an environmental allergen. Yes.
He is an environmental health physician. Or is he just a physician that deals with allergies?
What are you asking?
I'm just trying to understand the credentials of the physician you're referring to.
You're calling the credentials of the physician that I went to into question? It is Dr. Ralph Cahaly, MD from Asthma and Allergy Physicians in Milford.
Okay, and I'm just trying to determine, he actually classified as either an occupational or environmental health physician.
What?
Do we know that or not?
I'm gonna look it up on Google right now. It's,
Google's a wonderful thing.
Kristen, if you don't mind, while you're doing that, I believe that you live there with Tom Maroli. Would he care to speak?
Yeah, I can say a few things. Tom
Yeah,
Morale,
thank you.
2 Millville Road. So, and my concern is I just want everybody to be happy, right? I want everybody to be healthy, and not sick, and I want to be able to put this entire chapter to rest. It's clear that, you know, whatever was done, the sickness has not gone away. The allergies still remain. And I'm trying to think of how we can address this. You know, there's a couple possibilities. One possibility is a more, I guess you could say, broader air quality test to test for numerous different things, maybe other than just mold. Also, you know, that there was the fact that there were the work was done so close to our living quarters. Sorry, I'm outside with my dog and she's going crazy right now.
Watch out for those coyotes.
Yeah, right. There's the possibility of you know, doing a more maybe some professional cleaning. I'd like to be able to resolve this. I'd like to resolve this in a way that makes everybody healthy, everybody happy. I don't want it to. I don't want this you know, back and forth to keep going. And I think, you know, the best thing we can do at this point is try to pinpoint what's causing this.
Tom, if I may, Joyce Gilmore would like to chime in, and then we'll get right back to you. I want to make sure that we don't miss anything. Go ahead, Joyce.
Tom, I'm just wondering about, I know that they did some remediation there, but at the same time, did you take all of your clothing, all of your bedding, all of your pillows out and have them remediated? Did you do that?
We have not.
Well,
I mean, we've laundered them.
right, but you know, sometimes there's more to like a pillow. I know you didn't launder a pillow, and I'm not being sarcastic. I'm just saying you don't think about that. You know what I'm saying? But that either you throw away the pillow or you send it to a place where they do a heat treatment to remediate. Same thing with your mattress pad and your clothing, the clothing you put on. That also needs to be remediated. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, I do.
Tom, how are you feeling?
I mean, I've had headaches for the past several months, but I don't know that it is connected to this. I have had an allergy test in the past and do have allergies, and you know, that particular room has always made them worse. I'm not going to say that is, but basically what I want is I would like a more comprehensive test for maybe more than just mold to find out if it's something else, or maybe you know.
Tom, have you made this request from the landlord?
I have not discussed it with him yet.
Okay. Do you plan on having that discussion?
I can, yes.
Okay.
I'm just,
I think you
you asked
are.
my opinion, so you asked my opinion, so I gave my opinion.
No, and I appreciate your honesty. Again, we're just trying to help you resolve this. And we're trying to, have a reasonably good understanding of what the experience has been and how this has been progressing. Now, are you also looking for another place to live? I believe that's what Kristen said.
I think we've been looking for places that are a bit cheaper, in general, but, you know, um, that's a separate conversation.
Okay, no, that's fine. I'd like to get back to Kristen if she found the information that she was looking for.
No, I was trying to pay attention to the meeting. Like, what? I still don't understand.
You were Googling some information, ma'am.
Yeah, I'm looking up environmental physician now, and
All right, while you're doing that,
it's occupational, environmentally injury, illness, and I don't know. I went to an allergist because I have allergies to the specific type of mold that's in this house.
Kristen, did you hear my question to Tom about?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, thank you. Yeah,
Okay,
I actually,
yeah.
I would actually love for that to have to happen. So if, if my clothes, if in the board's opinion, my clothes and my bedding and my pillows need to be either replaced or remediated, either they need to be remediated or we need compensation for them.
Well, I'm just saying, have you done that? I mean, you before you went back into the house after they did what they said they did, again, it's very, very tricky with all the what's there, and you may have a specific mold type that's not problematic to somebody else. Let's say that. But I'm just saying, when they did all the remediation in the house, did you also do all your clothing and that sort of thing?
Well, no remediation was done in the house. But I spent a week in Airbnbs. I had to pay all that money to go stay, even though, the reason that we had to stay an extra 3 days is because, asbestos tests weren't done and we had to wait for those results.
Right.
I don't really have any extra money laying around to, go remediate my pillows or replace my pillows right now. Like that you're talking like that's an option, or that we like have all of these options and we don't.
Okay.
is there anybody else? Tom Fickner, go get him. Thank you, Tom.
You're on mute again. I'm not touching you. It's all you.
I'll get it right sometime. Just a question, Kristen or Tom. The entities that were utilized in this particular process for having this mold analysis done, how were they obtained, and who arranged for them?
Mike has his hand up.
I don't know if we
Mike,
lost Kristen.
did you want to speak?
Yes.
Go right
Go
ahead.
ahead, Mike.
I just wanted to make a couple of things clear. You know, I asked to have the air testing done to get to the bottom of this. And I also, you know, talked to my insurance company about this and opened a claim. And, you know, the cost of relocation where is to be covered by that, as well as, and I know I told Tom, you know, a week ago that he could call the insurance claim adjuster whose name he has, and email address and phone number he has. And if there's additional testing or if they want remediation or anything, you know, they're the experts. I don't know anything about mold either. I reached out when they were concerned, and, you know, this is the direction I was given and was told that, you know, again, the level of mold in the house is less than what's outside. And it's almost non-existent as far as his experience. Now, that doesn't mean that somebody doesn't have a particular sensitivity to it. But there is an avenue that they can take, and, you know, they can contact the, you know, the adjuster and ask for them to do additional testing or to do any cleaning of any of their clothing, and if any of their, if they're determined that it's you know, that there is indeed something wrong, I'm sure the insurance company will cover the cost. And I've already paid the deductible. So, you know, that was the easiest thing. And I'm not sure how that kind of got lost in the translation, but they do have the adjuster's email address and phone number. And again, I'm not Tom and Kristen, I'm not talking over you or around you. You just feel free to call him. Because I did call him after we spoke, and he's been expecting your call. So I'm not sure. I kind of thought you already did. So I'm sorry that you didn't, but feel free to send him an email tonight, and you know, they'll put you in the right direction.
Can I just respond?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I just I guess I wasn't clear on the fact that we could contact the insurance adjuster on our own about this. So just to be clear, we can contact the insurance adjuster to ask for any additional testing or cleaning.
Yeah, what you can do is speak to him, send him an email. Like I said, I spoke to him a week ago. I spoke to him after the inspection was done, and I did share with him, you know, and he already knows about the Massachusetts, you know, lack of any kind of standards, and he seems to have an awful lot of experience with this. And, you know, talked about other sources of mold in a household. But like I said, go ahead and call him, and he should set you up.
Okay. Guess we'll have to do that. Or I thought Kristen's hand was raised, I thought.
Yeah, it is. Oh, did I need it to be raised. There we go.
All right, go ahead, Kristen.
Sorry, thank you. I sent all of the receipts to the adjuster and copied both Tom and Mike on that email. As soon as we got back.
Yeah, no, you did. And you know, you told me you were going to need something back if it didn't come in a couple of weeks, and I think that was about a week ago. And certainly once you find out what the difference is, I mean, we'll take care of it. But this is beyond just the Airbnb cost that we talked about. This is if you have other testing or other remediation, other things that you think, and if you think your clothing and everything else was destroyed, or can't be remediated, like I said, talk to them. And again, you know, I'm going by what the experts are telling me, but I'm no expert. That's why I have insurance. And, you know, when you told me about this and we started to deal with it, I called what I thought were professionals. They are professionals. And if it's not, if more needs to be done, like I said, talk to the adjuster. He's expecting your call.
Tom Fickner.
Just curious, from a general work perspective at this point, with what had been going on for repairs and modifications, has all the work been considered to be complete at this point?
Well, everything to do with the shower, you know, all of the materials were taken out of the shower stall, and even the you know, your inspector indicated that everything was, there was nothing wet in there. It was all thrown in the dumpster, and it was taken right down to the insulation, which again is fiberglass and dry. There was certainly wallboard that had dry mold on it from leakage, but that was all removed. So it's all been taken out of the house. And the day they did do the air quality test, the wall leading to that area behind the shower and the tub was open. So, and we did it that way so that would be the worst case scenario. You know, the way it was explained to me was the mold level, you know, inside that wall would have been far worse. That was what was in the shower. But at this point, you know, everything is sealed up again. So if it's the current environment that's causing the problem, you know, I'm told the insurance company, you know, is aware of this and has dealt with this before. And again, you know, I know Tom and I talked about this more than a week ago, and I'm sorry if there was a miscommunication, but please go ahead and call them and they'll take care of it. And as
Not
far as,
understand the
yeah,
asking
well,
for a test.
yeah.
Kristen, did you have something more to say?
I did. The dumpster is still sitting outside filled with all of the moldy material. You know, that could also be a reason why I don't feel well and feel even worse than I did before. You know, that control sample, the control that came in so high that everybody keeps talking about, that was taken like right outside that dumpster, and now it's been sitting for an additional week out there. Like, you know, there's a lot of things here that, you know, could be contributing to it, and none of them I should have to deal with after like this like botched job.
Well, you know, I think again, the mold that this person who did the testing indicated that even the outside number was low as well. But if you would like us to, you know, have the dumpster removed, I mean, there's some additional work with a couple of sliding doors that's being replaced. And there were other things we're going to get thrown in the dumpster, but certainly if and again, the person I asked that question, and he said that in his opinion that wasn't causing it. But again, talk to the adjuster tomorrow, and if there's a reason to think it, then we'll just, you know, have the contractor that brought it in have it removed, and you know, and get rid of it all.
Tom Fickner?
Yeah, just wanted to just kind of address, I think Mike kind of just did. Kristen, your usage of the terms, this particular control being high. But as Mike indicated, and in my conversation with this individual from Green Solutions, although it's a higher value on the analysis compared to other types of spores, it is not considered high in terms of an average. Spores per million parts, this gentleman felt they'd have to be really in the thousands to come back with a reading to be considered what, in their opinion anyway, would be detrimental to an individual's health. However, people are different, right? So it could be that you may have some certain sensitivities even at lower levels of this particular type of mold. But in general terms, this is not considered a high value.
Alan? And you're on mute.
I don't feel so bad.
Sorry. Yeah, sorry about that. Let's hear from Kristen first, and then I'll finish up. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. How can I word this? You can't simultaneously say there aren't any mold levels in Massachusetts that are high enough to warrant action, and there aren't any guidelines at all, and then represent that a reading is low, and that is your reason for not taking any action. You can't do that.
Yeah, I'm not saying that it doesn't warrant action. I'm just speaking to the actual analysis itself in terms of pure data points.
Okay,
Or terms in-
did anybody who spoke to this person from the ScreenWorks place talk about the health of a person who specifically has an aspergillus allergy?
Kristen, were you tested recently?
Yes, I was tested last week. I never knew that I had this allergy. That's why I never even
Right.
thought about mold for months.
Okay. And how high was it? Did they say it was, way over the top and,
Yeah, I still have,
okay, yeah,
you want me to turn the video on? I can show you that the only two, this
sure,
was last Thursday, and the little bumps that they do, the only
Yeah.
two that are there are the two that were the mold ones.
right.
I don't know if it really matters. Hold on though.
No, I don't have to see them. I believe you. There's no,
Okay.
I just was wondering what they did for testing for you, and then did they recommend anything for you to take internally to make you feel better at all?
I'm on 2 different inhalers right now. I'm
Uh-huh.
on an allergy medication. I don't, the name of it somewhere. I really don't feel good.
That doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. I understand.
And then like a spray up my nose that the
Right.
doctor prescribed me.
Inhaler.
So at this point, when I get into a coughing fit, I at least have something, that opens up my airways enough so that I don't, like I can breathe again. Like that's where I'm at.
Right. And are you home every day so that you're in this environment every single minute?
When I go to work, and I feel better when I go to work, and then I come home, and after sleeping, when I wake up in the morning, it's awful. I get up, I'm out of the house by 4 a.m.
All right. And again, I don't want to beat the same drum, but are you sleeping on the pillows that were there from the beginning?
I've laundered all of the bedding, like all of the pillowcases and all of the covers, and
Right, but the pillow, usually a pillow is made of either feathers or a foam or some of those things that would attract that kind of mold and stuff. I mean,
is that,
if
is
it
that
were
a thing
me,
that happens?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I mean, if it were me, I would get rid of like the pillows that you sleep on at the very least. I would get rid of those. And
Okay, I'll
you can
start-
get at Ocean State Job Lot, they have some very good pillows and they're very cheap. And they're very, or yeah, the Job Lot down in Milford. I mean, if I would do that too.
I'll wait my next paycheck. I'll take a trip down.
Okay.
Hey, Alan?
All right. Barring anybody else from the audience that may want to speak on this topic, it sounds as though the 2 tenants and the landlord have a good communication going back and forth at this time. It sounds as though the insurance adjuster is an expert in this type of situation and is willing to work with the tenants to get this investigated and straightened out. Based on the testing that's already been done, There's no asbestos. The mold is within the acceptable limits at the time of the test. It seems as though the landlord is more than willing to remove the dumpster, which contains the material that was removed from the house. I have no problem revisiting this at our next meeting and hope that things are resolved. Tom?
Especially after they, in fact, call the person to whom Mike has suggested they call and get some action going for them.
Correct.
Victor?
Tom had mentioned, Tom Maroli, that, you know, he wants to see this resolved. That he suggested a broader air quality test, professional cleaning. So that's right in line with what it sounds like with what the insurance adjuster does to resolve something like this. So it sounds as though everything is maybe not moving as fast as you would like, but is moving in a positive direction. Tom Fickner?
Chris and I would just ask, is there something specific that at this juncture you are looking for the Board of Health to do outside of what's already been presented as avenues for assisting?
Thank you. Honestly, if we can talk to the adjuster and get something done, if the commercial dumpster is gone tomorrow and I feel better the next morning, then I would love nothing more than to come here next week or whenever you guys meet and say, hey, everything's great, never mind. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's all I want.
Right. But talk to the adjuster.
We'll definitely do all of that.
He's given you permission to do that, and I would do that and interact with him and tell him how bad it is, and, you know, explain your spot to him. Okay. I know I know it's not easy. Trust me. I do know that. But it's one step at a time. And if you can deal with him, and because he's the one that's going to be able to do more remediation. Okay.
Thank you.
No, thank you. Really, we appreciate, you know, your time and your honesty, and we're glad that, you know, communication is flowing and action is taking place, and I'm hopeful that we're almost there. So you know, follow up with the suggestions that were made, and let's you know, get this resolved and get everybody healthy again. Tom Fickner?
Well, just as an action item, while Kristen and Tom are taking that avenue, would the board want to entertain a behind the scenes advancement to try to see if we can obtain additional information just to have? So when we do meet on this again, or in the interim could be offered, for example, whether or not we want, I know there's nothing formal in place in the state of Massachusetts, but in communication with Mass DEP, you know, the environmental group within Mass DEP that probably has experiences with these sorts of things. Thoughts?
I think that's a great idea, and maybe we can have a conversation with Danielle Edmonds on this topic. Maybe we can get her to come to our next meeting where she actually did the inspection, and she is, I believe, when she was working for the city of Worcester, maybe she was doing a lot of housing inspections, so maybe she could enlighten us a little more on, you know, her experiences, and maybe that would help us, you know, with a greater understanding of what someone goes through that is, you know, sensitive or ultra sensitive to things that others aren't. You know, obviously we're sort of seeing a situation right now, but I'm sure she's seen many. So let's see, you know, along with what Tom is suggesting, information and guidance from the DEP. I'd like to, if possible, talk with Danielle more on this, based on her experience of home inspections in previous positions. Thank you.
Okay, is there any final comments before we move on to the next topic from Kristen? Tom, Mike?
I'm good.
I'm all set. Thank you.
All right, thank you all. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you all for being on and sharing. Much appreciated. We definitely want to stay involved from our perspective for sure. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, the next topic on the agenda is 192 Millville Road. We do have Jamie Armstrong. Jamie, just a reminder, you need to press *6 to speak. Jamie, Betty? Jamie and Betty, are you there?
Yes, yes,
All
yes,
right.
we are.
There you are. Now we can hear you.
Oh, I didn't have the phone up close enough.
All right, so can you please explain to my board the situation that's going on?
We have a new neighbor. He bought the property at the top of our driveway, which is, we live about a quarter of a mile down into the woods. He started putting a septic system in. We didn't know what he was doing, though. There was just boulders throwing all over the place and all kinds of a mess up there. We've had problems getting in and out of the driveway, blocking, and he has pushed boulders, big boulders, over onto our property. He's torn the place up terribly. We've said this, now this has been going on since November of last year. We have tried many times calling him, trying to meet him, and we're not getting any place. And liability, he has a couple families living in those houses up there. They have young babies and, children, several children up there. And we're just so disgusted, we don't know where to turn. All we want is that the rocks and the debris off our property back onto his property. And he just flatly finds a reason all the time.
Yeah, may I just say one thing about that? To me, this does not seem to be a Board of Health problem. This seems to be a problem that either you have to deal with the police or, because it really isn't. Even though he put in a septic system, the septic system apparently was put in with and approved and done properly. As I see it, the septic system itself, but all the damage that he's done to your property seems to me to be more of a policing thing than a Board of Health problem. And I hate to say that because I know you're probably at your wit's end, but in my opinion, that for what it's worth, it seems more like a policing thing than a Board of Health problem, because the septic system was put in, and I see the paperwork here that says it was done properly, it was signed, and the actual septic system. Now, I'm not talking about how he ended up doing that. That's abhorrent, I agree, but I don't think it's, in my personal opinion, I don't think it's a Board of Health problem. I think it's a policing problem. Did you call the police at the time?
We didn't call the police about the boulders and everything because we weren't aware of it. We don't come out very much because of COVID. And when
Right,
we would come up there, he would be so pleasant and say, I'll move them, I'll do this, I'll do that. I'm trying to be a good neighbor, and we were trying to be a good neighbor. And then when we did show him our property line, and things just he kept pushing things off, and he was never around. The people that were there did not speak English, they told us.
right.
It's not anything to do with the septic system that this issue is. The issue is the
That he's
mess he
damaging,
made,
that he's
but the
damaging
issue
your
is it's a
property.
liability.
Right.
It's a
he's
liability.
damaging- Right.
And it's a
So,
liability with the house next to us is a disaster also, as far as holes and dirt and with them having children there, it just looks like the town dump.
Right, well,
And
really
I don't
think-
care about that. That's his property.
Right,
I'm just saying, as far as his children,
right. I really think that you need to call the police. I think it's a policing matter and because that's abhorrent that he's done that and he's making it unsafe for them and for you too. That's, I really think I think it's a policing matter. I don't believe it's a Board of Health matter.
well, how about the piece of, what was that, PVC? He pulled up some pipes or something, and they're still sticking up out of the driveway. They're probably, how many feet did you, how far, how many feet? 5 feet worth of, they got ripped up somehow, and he just put a Kelly clamp on them. And then he put a great big pile of dirt on top of them, like a truckload, and said that, oh no, that truckload of dirt, or the dirt was there before he came. He didn't do it. And we finally did get him to move that dirt, and he finally admitted he was lying to us because of that pipe underneath there.
Tom
That's
Fickner?
not that's an issue for the town.
Well,
But he didn't see it till afterwards.
again, I really, I don't know, what do you think, guys?
Well, I had I was having a conversation with Jack on this matter the other day, and when I was kind of reviewing it, and I wondered in my head, similarly to what Joyce, you presented, I wondered in my mind how the Board of Health could levy any jurisdiction on this matter.
We don't have it.
I do believe you at minimum have a civil litigation issue, a land court matter possibly. I don't know the exact title to apply to it. Joyce has referenced the police. I guess from there, I wonder what even the police could do, but they could maybe offer some direction for you to take.
Yeah,
to try to-
I think before, that before they do any kind of that the police have to see what's happened and they can make a report. It just, they would make a report that would help them.
Right.
They did that when they had trash all over the place. And it looked like they picked it all up in Milford, tons of it or something. For a couple times, it was ripped all over the place. And finally, the neighbor started calling the police. And then another one said that he's got rats in his backyard or something like that. The police came up and didn't do anything. It's not as bad a problem as it was, but it just goes on and on. This is nothing that, because we're far enough away, it's disgusting, but we don't see it. But that's the same reason we didn't step on this guy before he pushed those boulders over there, and then it was too late as far as get them off the property. We don't want them there. And then saying, well, I'm doing the septic system, I'll move them. And that was the end of it. Just even getting to talk to him or see him. He stood us up so many times when he did answer the phone.
Jack, I believe, didn't we converse on the individual who did this work? We looked up some data about his current status in the town,
Marcelo
Yeah, his-
Bartos.
right? And wasn't he due to come in the next day to, I know you had reached out and called him,
I did call, he did not show up yesterday.
so he did not show up.
No.
So currently what I'm referring to, for those who don't know, when I was in the office the other day and this came to my attention, I looked up this gentleman in our records. And although I believe he has stated this to Jack on the phone, because Jack actually called him, as far as our files are concerned, he no longer has a valid hoisting license, and he no longer has a valid certificate of liability or insurance with the town of Mendon.
So
Now,
what
when
does
Jack
that-
reached, when Jack reached out to him, when I had noticed that in our records, to mention that I believe, Jack, correct me if I'm wrong, he verbally stated he did have those things. And he stated to us he was going to come in. Basically, when somebody doesn't have valid licensing or insurance, they're really not certified to be operating in the town of Mendon, is basically what it means. Sometimes what happens is you have policies that lapse after someone may acquire their license at the beginning of the year, and typically what happens, the insurance company will usually send along the renewal form once it's renewed. But technically, as of right now, according to the Board of Health, this individual should not be doing any work in the town of Mendon until he can
Now,
prove.
he's not the one that personally has the equipment. He hired somebody that was coming in, and we did talk to that person a couple times. But he said that he wasn't told by Bastos to move the rocks back onto the property.
So it was actually another individual who actually performed the work on the septic system?
That's right. Bastos wasn't even there 99% of the time. That's why we couldn't catch him or get a hold of him.
Okay.
He contracts all his work.
So you don't happen to know who that individual was by any chance, do you?
Yes, Eddie does. Hold on. Do you have his name?
I know the first one. His name was also Marcelo, and his last name was Alves, Alves.
Could you repeat that again for me?
Oh wait, hold on, Marcelo Alves. Yeah, he Marcelo Alves, ALV is in Victor, E is in Edward, S is in Sam, ALVES.
Okay,
His name
so
is Marcelo.
same first name, but the last name is Alves.
Right, that's right. And I met him at one point when he came up to look, when I told him what he had left to do that he never finished.
Who was the second one that came in?
Well, we could
Okay.
certainly look to see if that individual may possibly have any licensing in the town of Mendon, but if not, that just complicates the situation, to be
Okay,
honest
so
with you.
so he was Marcelo Bastos was working with him, and Marcelo Alves was contracting other people to come in to do the work. And the first person that came in working for him, his name was Caesar. I don't know his last name. And so Marcelo Alves is contracting this other guy, Marcelo Alves, and he sends the different people in to do the work.
Okay.
And I've got Marcelo Alves' number because I've even called him.
Do you know where he's based out of by any chance?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I've got his telephone number.
Well,
So
this is not an
back up
unusual
just a second.
situation,
go
although it
ahead.
sounds like it because we run into this before, but this type of scenario potentially does allow the Board of Health to take action. Because if we have individuals who are doing work in the town of Mendon illegally, that we can act upon.
Well, the thing
However-
of it, let me say this, the thing of it is, that all of his septic system repair has been approved. He's got that right here in this paperwork. It's all been approved. It was designed by Norman Hill and it was approved. It was a septic system repair. It was approved. Tom Ryder approved the permit and construction, the application.
Alan, you want to jump in?
Yes, please. I also had a conversation with Jack about this because Caesar Alves, that name sounded very familiar.
Right.
It sounds like it's the same gentleman that abandoned the project on Main Street.
Okay,
in
wait a minute, let me-
Milford that was,
I need to correct you.
okay,
Caesar, I don't know Caesar's last name. He was doing work for Marcelo Alves, but Caesar was
Right.
one of the workers.
Right, and it's CN Construction.
right. Caesar Alves, his name is on the
Right.
paperwork for installer information. That's where I got that. So I'm kind of in the middle. Joyce, I understand exactly what you're saying because I reviewed all the paperwork and there was a certificate of
Of compliance.
compliance issued
Yep,
for the
yep.
septic system. So
Yep.
the septic system has been completed. It's been completed to our engineer's
Right.
satisfaction
Correct,
and approved.
correct.
I know.
It's unfortunate that the site is in the condition that it is, but obviously those conditions didn't affect the septic system, which is what the Board of Health has
That's right.
jurisdiction over. However,
Exactly.
in my limited knowledge, I would consult a civil engineer because it's my understanding that removing permanent boundaries is against the law. But you need to consult a civil engineer. There are different, many firms around, including the civil engineering firm that's listed on the paperwork that designed the system for 188 and 190. Not that you might want to use the same engineer, but I would get a civil engineer's opinion of the destruction to the permanent bounds, and then I would try to seek a civil suit against this gentleman. Again, that's just what I see here. As much as I want to help you and as much as I wish that you weren't going through this experience,
Right.
that's kind of where I'm at. Like I said, I'm kind of in the middle of Joyce and Tom.
No, you're not in
Tom?
the middle. You're exactly where I am. You're exactly in
Okay,
the same
well-
spot. We're in the same, we're
Yeah,
in the
well,
same
I don't-
spot.
Right. I don't
Because-
feel the police would be able to help her. I feel
Well,
a civil
they could-
engineer.
They could document, they could do, something that puts them on the legal part of things,
Okay, so something on
I'm
record.
just saying, right, just put on
Okay, so
record
like
that
it-
they have overstepped, they've gone onto their property, not illegally, and to demonstrate it to them and just have them record that. And then from there on, you've got that record. And then again, you can, because the boundary has been disturbed, the boundary marker has been disturbed there. So
Yeah,
that
and-
you're, an engineer would be able to say, look, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, to my knowledge, that is considered a crime.
Yeah,
I don't know what level,
You mean-
but I know it's one of those things you're not supposed to touch.
right.
So I don't know if that would help get you any relief or any action as to getting this property owner to clean up the site. Jack, back to you.
Tom Fickner?
Okay, what?
So Jack, just remind me, so was it CN Construction that
Correct.
we ended up looking up in the books the other day?
Yes, Cesar Alves is the installer for CN Construction, correct?
Now, was Caesar the person you spoke to, or was it Marcelo?
I spoke to Caesar, since it was
Okay.
his hoisting license and insurance that was expired.
Okay. And we believe that Caesar Alves was the actual individual who performed the work, ladies, or are we saying that Caesar also brought in another subcontractor to physically do the work?
Caesar did the work with another man came up at the same time.
Okay, but Caesar was on the job, and Caesar was present while the work was going on.
Right, and every time he'd come in, we'd talk to him, and he told Jamie that he'd restore everything to its original, how it normally was at the beginning, and it would be beautiful. He reassured, even though when Jamie said the stones have to be removed and everything, but no, but he's the one that always communicated with us, even though he was working with another person. And they never drove up with their trucks, and so we don't know the name of their company or anything. They just showed up and left, and we never saw their trucks or business vehicles.
Well, that might have
Okay.
been Norman Hill who was approving, who was doing the as-built and that sort of thing. That might have been, because he had to sign the paperwork here as well.
But once again, Caesar was working for Marcelo Alves. Marcelo Alves is the company, and
Right.
he subcontracts to different people, and Caesar was one of the people.
Right.
Okay,
Alan?
well, at the time the work was done, Caesar he was licensed, and he had the appropriate paperwork in place at the time this particular work was done.
Correct.
Although maybe now our records show that he's has expired on a couple of things, but at the time the work was done, it was not the case.
Alan?
Yes, thank you, Jack. In following along the lines that Tom's going down, my conversation with Jack was, it appears that this name or similar names have appeared before us in the last 6 to 9 months as maybe not being or conducting business in a workmanlike manner, and that we need to kind of have this name, this gentleman's name, or similar names or company names on our radar, because we just won't reissue a license if he's not going to do what he needs to do. And obviously, if along what Tom is saying, if he doesn't have a current hoisting license, he's not going to be able to apply for a septic installer's license, which is going to come due in a couple of months. So, if this gentleman is becoming, or his work is becoming problematic, that's where the Board of Health can take an action as to whether or not to renew his license. Thank you.
So the only thing we have with you is that nothing that won't help us whatsoever, even though it's and again, I don't want you to think that we have a beautiful house down here and all hedges and everything, and we're just mad because of the pigsty up there with rocks and boulders and, things turned, I don't get it, turned over. He never even did the lawn. You can't do the lawn up there because there's so much junk and stuff all over it from
Right.
when he was doing the excavation and just throwing things around.
I understand what you're saying, I think it's abhorrent. I do. I understand what you're saying. However, what I'm saying to you is you're in the wrong place, I believe, to get help. I think you need to, as Jack Allen said, you could get an engineer out there, and it's probably going to have to be something that you're going to have to do through a lawyer.
So what happens when somebody falls on those rocks out there and they sue us? Because
Well,
they're on our property illegally.
Well, that's why. you
Or
need to-
even in
that's
his
why you-
yard, which
that's-
I don't care about his yard, but,
That's why you need to get a lawyer.
oh, so he can do that and the Board
No,
of
he
Health can't
can't.
do anything?
No,
And that
we
pipe
can't do
that's
anything
across
with that.
the driveway, he can leave that too? The electrician or whoever is the electrical that put the, patched that, two pieces of, pipe back together with a Kelly clamp can,
Well, you raise, or
Frustrating.
you're describing a situation that could potentially be a safety issue.
it is a
a
safety issue.
public
It's
safety
it's a
issue.
liability, but it's still a safety measure.
Yeah,
Right.
That sticks up high enough that I could walk right down my driveway, and where he pulled that up and then just stuffed it together and left it on the driveway is blowing up actually now. And the
So
tenants keep driving over it.
So I guess the question I would put to my fellow board members, is there any basis in addressing that particular scope of the problem from a public safety perspective? Or is that kind of reaching?
You know, the thing of it is, Tom, I know, I see where you are, but it is a legal matter. It is something that that guy did to them in their property. He has destroyed their property.
It's our property what that is.
I beg your pardon?
The pipe that's sticking
Your
up across
your
the
property.
driveway is our driveway.
Right. So it's your property that he has done with the rocks, and he's done all that stuff. That's damaging your property. The same as if he came in and dug holes or chopped down trees and.
Oh, he did
on
that
your
too.
property. Right. So that's wrong. But that's legally wrong. I'm just saying, it is not Board of Healthly wrong. It is legally wrong, in my opinion. I think that you need to get a lawyer.
And pay thousands and thousands of
No.
dollars for,
Well,
no?
get a lawyer and because he's done wrong, he's going to lose, right? So
He's gonna
going
lose.
to,
I'm
he's
still
going to
gonna be lots and lots of money out. And as soon as I go up there to plow this winter with the snow, that pipe is coming right up because it's right on top of the driveway that is still kind of a mess. It's not too bad because we did get them back. And Betty and I filled in a bunch of the ruts. But, I can't plow the driveway even with that there. Is there any way that you can even send him any kind of a scary letter that we have? That maybe it would wake him up to he may go into court if you have been contacted about the rocks and the liability and the pipe before
Well,
we have to.
A letter like that could certainly go out. It's just that it's probably going to be something that doesn't have any real teeth, but certainly from the standpoint of presentation,
Well, that's
I
what I'm
see
talking about.
where you're going.
If I may,
Yes.
Alan?
definitely not Board of Health comment that I'm gonna make. I'm trying to help you ladies, so
Yeah.
I'm really reaching deep. You could do some research, find out who holds the mortgage on the property. Maybe
Okay.
find out who insures the property. I'm
Okay.
sure the mortgage holder or the insurance company that insures the property would not want to be involved with a property that has liabilities.
Okay.
But again,
That's a good
not Board of
direction,
Health
thank you.
related. I'm just really reaching into my bag of tricks to try to give you ladies some suggestions that might be helpful other than consulting a civil engineer.
Okay.
I apologize for not being able to resolve your situation, but that's the best I can do ladies, and, you know, I appreciate the fact that you reached out to us. I just wish it was something that I felt was Board of Health related, and as Tom pointed out, something that we could put some teeth behind so that we could get you some action. Anybody
Thank
else
you.
want to make a comment?
I just have one more question.
You're welcome.
This is Betty, and this is for addressed to Tom. You said at the beginning that Marcelo Alves no longer has an active certificate of liability on file.
I believe that the individual we actually looked up was Caesar Alves. Jack, correct me if I'm wrong on that.
You are correct. He's the one
Okay.
that is licensed and permitted to do the septic installation. Caesar
Right.
Alves.
So currently, according to our records at the moment, Caesar is not actively, does not actively have a current hoisting
Oh, okay.
license and does not actively have a current certificate of insurance.
Okay, I thought you were talking about Marcelo.
No, it was Caesar. Yeah. I
Oh,
got
okay.
the-
Then never
yeah.
mind.
That's
But,
okay.
but when he did install it, he did.
This is Jamie. One more question. If I had those boulders just pushed back over, would I don't want to get arrested or anything, but they're not in my property. If I just pushed them over the line, if I'm back onto their property, is that something that would be illegal? Not that I should be worrying about illegal, but.
Well, I don't know. I guess that's a good question. Do you end up putting yourself in a bad posture by taking that
Right.
step?
Exactly.
You know? I'd hate to see you
know-
get into a Hatfield McCoy type of thing where you now give them quote unquote legal ammunition to come back at you. Right now, it seems like everything's in your court.
Yeah.
But
Well, if you
it-
took a drive-through down our driveway, just turned around, went back up, you'd cry at those boulders that are as big as half of our house. I mean, this isn't just little things we're talking about.
Oh, yeah, I could see by the pictures. I get the picture, so to speak. Totally unpleasant. It's not fair. It's wrong in every way, shape, and form.
And you
Um,
know, there are attorneys that will take a case like yours and with the knowing that they're going to win and not charge you to start off with.
I'm also wondering, is there something that we think maybe that they could go to the state level for action on this?
No,
No.
no, it's a neighbor thing. Then he has broken the law, the neighbor. So when you break the law, you go and get a lawyer and have that taken care of.
Okay. Thank you very much.
We wish you all the luck
Mm-hmm.
with it. It's not a pretty situation you're in. I totally sympathize with you.
I
Alan?
just can't. I would think that
Yes.
somebody would be able to protect us.
Ladies, we would love to protect you. I did take a
Oh, sure.
drive down there today.
I don't know.
I
You
I
did drive
didn't
down there?
drive.
I don't care.
I
I'm-
didn't drive
yeah.
all the way. I only drove in as far as the second house, so I could see what I could see from my truck.
Mm-hmm.
So I understand your frustration, but I really strongly suggest do a little research, find out who holds the mortgage on that property, and find out who's insuring that property,
Do you have the insurance?
and plead your case to them.
Got mortgage. Do you have
Oh.
insurance?
Because I think if you do that, you're gonna find that if there is a mortgage holder, they're not gonna want to have a mortgage liability. And if they have to have some form of insurance,
Mm-hmm.
they're not gonna want the liability either, and try to appeal to them as to what's going on the property that they're holding the mortgage to and or insuring. I think that might be the little thing that you can do
Okay.
to maybe get some action. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You're
Thank you,
welcome.
Jack,
Thank you.
and everybody else.
You're welcome. Jack, let's move on, please.
Okay. The next topic on the agenda is the Board of Health Health Agent Animal Inspector vacancy. In the packets, I have given you other job descriptions. The most that really kind of matches what Mendon does is Hopedale. I reached out to Carol, who is the Hopedale administrator for the Board of Health. I've asked her if Hopedale would be interested in sharing the services of the health agent. I know it'd be part-time Hopedale, part-time Mendon, possibly 18 hours a week for Mendon. I just want to get your thoughts on this.
I see that their agent is, they want to be doing perk testing and that soil evaluating and all that sort of stuff. We already have Stephen doing that.
But the reason why we have Stephen was because of Lenny Izzo was not doing so much. So we got
Right.
Steve Donatelli as the backup.
Right,
Yes, currently we sort of have Steve helping us out, and we have Tom Ryder doing field work versus just reviewing plans to kind of fill the gap. So we really need to have our own health agent that can
Okay.
handle all of those services.
I didn't understand that. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, we also have Danielle and Daniel doing things that our health agent would do. As far as the restaurant inspections and things like that, the food establishment inspections. So we really need someone that can fill all of those functions. And then we're very fortunate to have those people that can cover if if our person in the position became overwhelmed or was unavailable. So, right now we're kind of using all our spare parts for the
Right.
job.
Okay, I didn't understand that.
No, that's fine, Joyce.
Yeah, right, yeah, no.
So, that's kind of where we stand. I know that on the last call we mentioned this. I believe Lonnie kind of echoed the sentiment of the select board where we are looking to share services with other towns.
Correct.
So,
Right.
and how did Hopedale feel about that, Jack?
Hopedale, Carol Villa, who's my Hopedale counterpart, she said she would present it to her board to get their thoughts and opinions. So I'm waiting to hear back from her, and I reached out to her on Monday.
Okay, so currently their person works 24 hours a week.
I think they're looking. No, they're looking
They're
for
18 hours a week, they say.
18
Yeah,
hours a week.
correct, yeah.
Okay, now do they have someone or are they looking?
They are looking because their current health agent has left and went to Milford.
Okay, all right. So and we're looking for probably about. Do we know how many hours a week we're looking for?
I was talking with Missy. She said roughly around 16 to 18 hours a week as well.
Okay, so that would almost give someone a full-time position.
Correct. And that's what I was thinking would entice somebody to take it. At least they got like 18 hours here and another 18 hours here. Give them at least 36 hours a week.
Okay.
Any thoughts on this? And I also was thinking of them being the animal inspector as well.
If they had the qualifications, that wouldn't be a bad thing. Because again, we have other outside resources that we could tap if our main person couldn't respond or was tied up or
Yeah.
overwhelmed at a particular time. Because this work kind of ebbs and flows. It's not the workload isn't always
Good weather, yeah.
Yeah.
Good
Well,
weather,
restaurants come once a year,
right.
twice a year. So the work isn't the flow isn't consistent. It ebbs and flows.
Correct.
The animal inspector that right about now, the animal inspector would be busy doing the bond book. And
right.
then when the bond book is completed, it's completed for a year. So
But
that's
would you think that a public health person would be, I mean, in my experience, an animal inspector is like totally different than the health inspector.
I wasn't too sure. I wasn't too sure on that.
yeah, but currently our temporary animal inspector is Danielle Edmonds.
Danielle, right.
She has the qualifications to do it along with a restaurant inspection. So we may find someone
Right.
that
Who has that?
has,
Yeah.
that broader
Right.
scope of qualifications. And then again, we might not.
Right.
But we definitely have to get it to the point where we're advertising and getting some applicants so that we can see what is available to us. And we really can't wait too long to start. Once we start getting some applicants, then we can,
Right.
see whether we have to tweak something one way or the other.
Right.
My only concern is, do we have that money in our present budget for this position? Because I did the math real quick and it's probably like 35K.
Yeah, it's roughly around that. And I believe it was one of the minutes I was typing up when you guys were discussing this. I think Missy said there was a $5,000 stipend the first 6 months for 2,500, and the next 6 months is another 2,500. Does that sound familiar?
That's for the animal inspector, I believe.
That's the animal inspector. Okay.
Right. So that would be 5 out of the 35.
All right.
So we'd still need the other 30. I don't know. I don't remember what we were paying for a part-time health agent. So I don't know what the total is in the budget, whether it be a health inspector or a health inspector / animal inspector. And
All right,
our
so
budget goes till July, I believe. Or June 30th.
Yeah, June 30th.
Okay. So, I mean, obviously we need to kind of check and see what we have in the kitty. Because we really can't adjust that. We could ask, but we'd adjust that in our next budget.
Okay.
But we can't wait that long to fill these positions. So
No, I agree. All right, so I'll reach out to Jody because I don't know what category Lenny Izzo fell under on the Board of Health. Would it be contracted services? Maybe it was contracted services.
I don't remember. He did work as a contractor versus an employee. And from what I understand, from HR, we have to do it a little different. They have to be an employee, not a contractor.
Okay.
So again, I don't know what we have for available funding today. And if we don't have enough to make it work, we're going to have to ask for more money.
All right, I will check with Shelley at HR, and I will also talk with Jody on the finances.
Okay. But I like the job description and the requirements, and I would certainly be open to one person doing animal inspector and health inspector, or having 2 people. That's fine with me too. Whatever works to make it go. And
Okay.
if this could be a shared service with the town of Hopedale, I'm all open to entertaining that. The 2 towns abut each other, so it should be, relatively easy for this
Right.
person to go from one to the other. It's not like we're towns apart, so it seems to make sense. Tom Fickner, any comments on this topic?
You're on mute if you're talking, Tom. Hey, Tom.
While Tom is finding his place, I mean, I think that it sounds like a good thing because both towns, they don't have a lot of restaurants. They don't, you know, so it would be, they're compatible in terms of, you know, one's not overwhelming on one side or the other side. You know, the perk testing is seasonal. The, you know, I mean, I think it's a great use of personnel.
Well, I think so too.
You know,
Well, and again, we also have Daniel and Danielle and Tom Ryder if we got in a pinch. And I'm forgetting the other gentleman's name. We just spoke of him.
Steve Donatelli?
We have Steve. So, you know, we're not going to sever our relationships with any of these people. It's just a matter of that we need to have our own person in that position to do the brunt of the work. Steve Donatelli has been awesome, and he's a great resource. So, you know, these are certainly people that we would still use. We just wouldn't be relying on them as heavily as we are right now.
All right, Tom texted me about 10 minutes ago that he had to step away.
That's why I can't see his beautiful face.
All right, so
All right.
I will reach out to Shelley and Jody and get some more information. Hopefully Carol will present the information to her board to see what their board says. But I'll keep it
Sounds
on the
good.
agenda.
All right, let's move to our next topic, please, Jack.
The next thing is the flu clinic update. I was at Misco School last night with VNA and Labonte doing the flu clinic. This year we've had 48 vaccinations done and 15 seniors done this year for 2022.
Very good. Everybody seem happy?
Everybody seemed happy, yes.
That's good.
I'm just
Joyce,
looking at
any comments on the flu clinic, Joyce?
no, I think it's great. I'm surprised that there were so few, but you know.
Yeah,
I
the
guess
15 seniors is.
Yeah, I guess they probably are going, well, they had some at the senior center, I think. Didn't they have that at the senior center too?
yeah, the
sometime?
seniors. Yeah, the senior center was the 15 count.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I wonder with what's going on in the health world right now, I wonder if people aren't necessarily waiting for our
Right.
clinic to take place.
Exactly.
And some people have already taken up offers
Right.
from other resources to get
Yeah,
their
I
shot.
think so too. Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, they're going to their Walgreens and their CVSs to get their flu shots.
Right.
Right. Very good. Okay, so let's go on to our next topic.
All right, a couple of new forms that I wanted the board approval on. The first one is the installer hauler letter for 2023 permits. As we discussed earlier, I will be sending out renewal letters to everybody. Before, it was a letter to individuals. So a letter went out for septic installers, a letter went out for septic haulers, and a letter went out for trash haulers. I want to combine it all into one.
Okay.
I just wanted to get your thoughts on that.
Well, because it's virtually the same dialogue.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, I think that's a great idea.
Well, and we have some people that do multiple services.
Correct.
And I was thinking of one person in particularly where once he gets the letter, he's going to say, well, I need to do a permit for this and a permit for that because I got notified in one letter.
There you go.
All right.
All right. So I'm on record as saying I approve.
Me too.
Thank you. I think that's a great idea, Jack.
All right. Did you also get the letter from 2012 that says sample hauler?
Yes.
All right. You guys notice on there, it's like the fourth line down where it says submit pumping records on the last day of every month.
Yes.
Should not be so, because Massachusetts requires septic pumping records 14 days after the septic system has been pumped. And I was talking with Tom Fickner about this. He goes, we can't be more lenient than what the state has stated.
Correct.
I'm looking at the one
good
that
catch.
says within 14 days. That's what I'm seeing. I don't see the other one.
That's on the sample hauler letter from the town of Mendon, where it says dear licensed hauler that I put in your packet.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Right,
Yeah,
right,
no,
right,
that's
right.
that's a good catch.
So
Yeah.
in 2012, letters went out saying that they only had to submit all their pumping records at the end of the month.
Right. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but I was talking to Tom about it because I got confused where I'm seeing the septic on the Massachusetts state pumping form where it says 14 days. And
Correct.
Tom said you can't be lenient more than what the state is telling you what to do.
Right. That is
Like
exactly right.
we can tell them 7 days, but we cannot tell them 30 days.
Right.
All right, so I'm just gonna go back and not like tell them they have a month to do their records.
Right. So that letter has to be redone anyway, right? I mean, that's
Well, I'm gonna get rid of it. I'm not even gonna use it
okay. Okay, good. Yeah. All right.
because that will bring me to my next form, which was the privation of system pumping records. That was in the packet that I designed.
Right. Yeah. Good.
This basically has everybody that is doing pumping in the town of Mendon. They at least have to submit something on a monthly basis to us, either if it's 1 record, 2 records, but if it's 0 records, they have to send this in to us saying they did not do any pumping in the town of Mendon for that month.
Right.
That's a great idea.
They definitely are not doing what they're supposed to be doing, because I went to the Lake Association meeting. They invited me to come, and I went through all of the pumping records that you gave me, Jack.
Yeah.
Many of them, well, not many, because there were like probably 25 or 6 people there, but all of them that filled in the form for me said that they had been pumped, and they had one of them was, it said that they had been pumped since the September 16th, and they said, yep, we were pumped in 2022 by Smith Septic. And another one said 7/12/22 by Smith Septic. And also Jim Dowling did it in 2021. And so they're not doing it.
Yeah, they're not submitting it into the Board of Health.
Right.
So that's why I wanted to basically state that in the letter, in the annual letters that I send out, saying you have to submit those.
Or you're gonna be fined.
Exactly.
And how's that gonna work for you?
Well, and I think the fact that even in a month where they don't have anything to report, they still have to report.
Right.
It keeps you in the practice.
Yes.
Every month I have to report.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you don't get out of that rhythm once you get into that rhythm.
Right.
So that's a great idea.
And I really think that they, should be fined if they don't do it.
Well, it does have here that the time period for failure to comply is $100. So I don't know if that's somewhere that we can just willy-nilly do.
Well, I mean, it's a good start to say maybe that'll help,
Well, and it's not necessarily willy-nilly. If it's in that letter, I'm trying to pull it up again. You said we're not going to use that letter again. So
no, but in the letter it says failure to comply with the Board of Health requirement will result in an automatic $100 fine.
So
But
that may,
obviously they weren't doing it.
right. So I don't know if that should appear in your letter.
I can do that, but I didn't know if there had to be a regulation somewhere written type of thing.
Something must have been on the books in 2012.
I tried searching for it. It was Jack Grenga back in the day who was the chairman. And I tried to do a search for it, hard copies and in the computer. I can't find anything where it was voted on. It's
Okay.
mentioned, but not
Yeah.
voted on.
All right,
All right, Joyce, there's only two of us. I can step down and we can vote on it.
right. I mean, I think that, you know, I think you have to play hardball, in my opinion, because they're not doing it. I mean, I can tell you that perfectly well from just going to that meeting. And I'm sure that, you know, I had my septic system pumped in the summer, the middle August somewhere, and I bet you don't have that information, Jack.
Probably not.
So, I mean, we've got to make them be more accountable. I mean, they have to, when they go to the, to dump their waste, they have to be accountable for that to them. So why not to us?
All right, so
I'll make a motion.
yeah, I would say, Joyce, if we include from the word failure to comply
Right,
up to the period after violation, that should spell it out.
right.
All right, so
Okay.
if you make the motion, I'll step down and second it.
Okay, I make a motion that the board includes in the letter to the pumpers that a failure to comply with the Board of Health requirement for their pumping, submitting their pumping records in the proper time. If it's not done, then it's a $100 automatic $100 fine.
Okay, and the consequences are, right? If the fine is not paid and required records are not received by the next posted Board of Health meeting, at the next meeting, the Board of Health shall suspend or revoke the awful
Right.
permit granted to the permit holder who is in
Who's
violation.
violation.
And that'll keep us in that 14-day
Right,
time frame, because for the most part, we meet every 14 days.
right.
All right, I'll step down and second the motion.
Okay, thank you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes.
I see the next thing is the Board of Health minutes, and obviously we can't do that without Tom.
I
No,
know,
because
just thinking of it.
I wasn't here.
So we'll have to put those on the next meeting.
Okay,
Let's set the next meeting, please.
the next meeting would be November 2nd, Wednesday, November 2nd.
Oh, my word, my life is passing before my eyes. It's so crazy.
Hey, we're on the same ride with you, Joyce.
Jeepers.
All right, November 2nd. Do we want to change the hour and make it earlier? Joyce, in the past, this time of year where AJ and I can't work in the dark, we would start to make the meetings at 6 rather than 7. I don't know how that works for you.
Well, it, you know, probably doesn't work real well for me because, you know, I have family and that I'm the food preparer, and I mean, 7.
No worries.
7 is perfect for me.
All right, so we're
Um,
going to keep them at 7. So next meeting, November 2nd, Wednesday night, 7 o'clock.
Okay.
Anything that we need to discuss that wasn't reasonably anticipated?
Nope.
Tom wanted to bring up the master plan response, but since he's not here, that's gonna be on the next agenda.
Excellent. All right, can I have a motion to adjourn if there's nothing else to discuss? It's a little after 9.
So move.
Thank you very much. Really, I appreciate everything that my fellow board members and our face in the office
Right. We love the
does
face
on
in
a,
the office.
yeah, everything that you folks do on a daily basis is much appreciated. So thank you very much and good night.
Before you go, good night, I just wanted to mention to you so that, in terms of being open and clear, I did attend the Lake Association meeting. And, you know, they're trying to do the same things that we're trying to do. And after I came home from the meeting, I was thinking to myself, I'm not sure what the value of that panel is. I don't know. I'd like to discuss that sometime, but not tonight. The panel, what are they going to do? What are we going to? What is our things? Because what we need to be doing, quite frankly, first is making sure that these septic systems are all in working order and that they're not. I think that is a prime function of the Board of Health in this case, you know, because.
Okay, let's
Discuss
have
it.
that on the agenda
Okay.
for
all
our
right.
next meeting, because we
Yeah.
certainly don't want to waste any time. We don't want to.
I was thinking about it, you know.
Yeah, okay.
I'm thinking a panel, you know, that comes in, is anybody on here?
No, it's just us.
Okay, that comes on like as political bullshit. It's like covering our things and saying the words.